for this res, needing to get these heals on because the zone is putting pressure. You need to get this res before the blue zone hits, and I think that they've read into that. Do they even go for it or just pop him in the back of the vehicle, try and get away with all 4 players, but a single nade?
My days.
That is one hell of a nail in that metal coffin.
Oh, the loot crates around it. Postman's going to have a field day picking up those crates, taking them back to the lobby. But dear, dear me, another postal grenade as well, nice. Direct on target. Fenerbahce, though, keeping themselves alive, merciless, as well as Nobody 77k, not to be mistaken with Exotics Nobody. But overall, so far, some incredible maneuvers. Again, this is, I would say, where inexperience takes into effect, right? Where realistically in that situation, you leave your buddy behind. You're getting nailed by grenades on the top side. It's time to leave. On the other hand, though, we've got vertical arcs on the grenade, but we also have a vertical feed for you guys to watch at home over on TikTok and YouTube, where you can get all the stats and all the gameplay all at the same time.
Yeah, you've got player cams on there as well. You're kept up to date with absolutely everything. And you don't even need to turn your phone sideways, you know? Sometimes you're scrolling through your feed, you're making sure that you're getting all that information straight into your eyeballs. Make sure you get the YouTube and TikTok feeds up and rolling, because we are rolling on to the rest of this match as well. Plenty of action. GOAT quality holding a line on that south edge blank, making it so hard for everyone to move any further north. They haven't managed to find their way in already. Marth, he gets spiked.
This is an odd roll-up at the moment. Envious has to just go for this one. He takes him down, he clears space for the rest of the team, perfectly executed. It's what you want to see. He's making sure he stays safe.
Oh, come on, greedy.
He would have been better off just staying on the other side. You respect, he tries to go back to the position where he was safe before. But I think at the end of the day, you could arguably leave FES behind, but now you're down to 2 players. You have this thought in your mind that do we go back from or not? Though, with the 3 points they've been able to grab here, they're looking for a high placement. I think that it's pretty acceptable for them to just try and hold out on this coastal, on this bank edge. even if you're thinking about heading over there in the first place. Giving all that time to KZE to set up, yeah, obviously you're going to get held out, and especially if you're sending one scout out. This is one of the few scenarios where it is way better to send 4 separate targets across the bridge as opposed to one lone soldier. So yeah, wasn't a massive fan of that, but still heads up play from KZE, which is nice to see.
Yeah, very good stuff. They are going to be one of the 2 teams standing guard over these bridge crossings. At the moment, we've got a few teams now starting to head to the water, to head down south. They think that it's going to go to this military base. On the west side, Action, after losing, they know that they can't get across the bridge, so they are sending into the water via boat. We are also heading across the water with NepX, who have managed to get 1 player already onto the northern side of Sosnovka military base. They are looking to try and strategize through this one and head south.
We were able to catch up with their coach, in fact, for a little bit of an interview. So let's hear what they had to say.
Welcome back to the front of stage. I've got Anzix here from NepX Esports. Anzix is an analyst. I first and foremost want to ask you, talk to me about your role. Talk to me about how you approach the role of an analyst.
Thank you for that. The first thing I do is just watch every game, watch every competitors and everyone who drops down near us and every places, and who is threat for us and who is really weak team. And the first thing we do is target the weak team. And after that, maybe in a rotation, we do an analysis for how to fight with the good teams. That's how I do it.
Breaking it down, I like it. But you know what? It sounds simple, but it's often the simple things that people miss out on. Now, let's talk about confidence. How confident are your team that they're going to make it through to the main event?
They're pretty confident, to be honest. I didn't expect that much to be from them. Like, they're not here to just experience the game. They're here to win the game.
It lift the trophy. Anzix, thank you so much for joining me in this interview. I really hope the best for you and your team. Right now, let's get back into the game.
Thank you.
Anzix keeping them level-headed there. NepX Esports going to need that now on this crossing. Making sure that they are targeting the right teams, right locations.
Did I hear him correctly when he said he didn't expect too much out of them?
You know, set your bar low, you'll never be disappointed.
Yeah. I mean, seems like a disciplined man, but fair enough. If that's what they need, keep them grounded. Well, honestly, at PMGO, it's kind of what you want. I mean, there's a lot of money on the line.
Oh, all right.
I think, honestly, I just might be a good play. Being like, look, guys, you're probably not the best here. Do your best, though,
yeah,
and maybe enter the top 7.
And that's kind of what I was talking about at the top of the day, right, where you made loads of fun of me, really meanly. But when I was saying there are some teams who are not necessarily going to be standing as tall. So. No, that's fair. Mostly I deserve it. And when there are some teams heading into this tournament that aren't going to be as strong, right? They are just not going to be as strong as other teams. And maybe what they're looking for is experience here to try and get some of that advantage, to try and get some of that analysis done. And if you guys at home want to do some analysis on our games, well, you can, because there is an official map feed over at PUBG Mobile Esports on YouTube where you can check out all the rotations that are going on across every single team on the map. You'll be able to see it throughout the entirety of this game, across all of the tournament as well. That is not the only way you can see the map feed, though, because we do have a beautiful, streamlined, vertical feed, so you don't even have to turn your phone sideways if you want to view it on YouTube and TikTok. Again, at PUBG Mobile Esports, you can check that one out. Make sure that you're getting all the info. You don't just get this main feed stream, you don't just get the map feed, you get player cams, you get the updated live tables as well, so you're on top of every single piece of information possible.
I think you've summed that up very nicely.
Couldn't be better, really.
A nice even number on that one.
2, 6,
4,
507. No. Just missed. 506?
4.
That's number one.
That's number one. That's right.
Oh, dear.
Glad you kept guessing after I gave you the answer as well.
No, I thought we would. Okay.
Yeah, I never watched number one.
Let's talk about this. We are in with Aki Cyber in a hovercraft. I was thinking that we were going to see a few of these on the south side of Sosnovka military base. The circle did just pop. It's confirmed a military base circle now, and they are on that south edge, jousting with Action.
And again, this southern edge of Sosnovka, incredibly important to control a lot of times. This is where you want to be at the start of the game, especially for Aki Cyber. They did lose one player in force on the crossing, but getting towards the dockyard here, I would say that's an impressive feat, alongside with a hovercraft giving you a lot of mobility and mobile cover. Fantastic stuff. Nepex did make that crossing. After all, we expected something of them, John. They performed.
So far. That remains to be seen if they'll continue to do so. Oh, a nade from Upgrade, actually finding a couple of knocks onto Exotics, but in the meantime, Zvesta holding his angle nicely. Action, don't know what's hit him.
Yeah, I think that when you look at Aki Cyber, they have this very nice play style of never letting up the gas. And I think that's a hard thing to contend with, especially if you are one of the weaker teams, where a team is just not giving you any room to breathe at all. And a lot of times that leads to mistakes. The fact that Aki Cyber is so quick with their plays, it's fantastic. It will be Upgrade finally taking down Exotic. And they are looking a little bit better, you know. Overall, Upgrade have jumped up a little bit here.
They've completed this level of the game, Blank, but they are about to face the final boss of the crossing still to Sosnovka. They are on that mainland, and it is getting jam-packed on the northern coast. Can't really go for a swim. There is going to be teams like Nepex, like Goat Quality, like Fenerbahce, who will see that happening, and they will keep a lot of pressure onto that area. So Upgrade have a difficult route ahead of them. They could potentially spin out wide, go for a boatate that we're seeing teams like Black Esports, like K21, and earlier on, Aki Cyber, of course, going down to that south side, so may try and go for a wide sweep. You've also got Divergent sitting in behind them, so that their game is about to get a lot harder for Upgrade on that northern side. However, they've already got 4 points for their trouble.
That they have. I think overall, R8, we're still expecting a little bit more out of this team. Hopefully, they can get a groove on.
Over towards that west side bridge. They'll try and push past, but there are teams in the way. It will be a tough tussle to try and resolve that one. Milta is rife with conflict as well, because you've got Divergent facing off against Train to Kill right now. The 4 versus 4, it seems, at the moment. They are still stuck in the blue. It's stage 3, so this is going to hurt. Puke trying to find a little angle there, but it's not going to be allowed. And Train to Kill not quite pulling the trigger, but finally finding Dynamo, an opener found for them. And there's a potential, yeah, that's the long off angle coming through from Divergent. You can see just on the top right-hand side of your screen there, they do have Lonely in the vehicle, out in the fields, out in the trees, cutting them down as he goes.
I think for KZE, there is a real consideration now as we get into stage 3. Here's Divergent Gaming up against Train to Kill. Trying to keep themselves alive here, but Divergent looking fairly strong in this engagement, John.
They've managed to do a lot of work, and there's another little shuffle towards the end of the Mortal Coil for Train to Kill. Only one player remains. Stage 3, it is still Resible here in the blue zone, but a second player for Divergent falls. It's all up to this last player, Igneous. Trying to be rock solid now. Last player to remain for Train to Kill.
I mean, Bipple was saying that this guy is an absolute stellar player on the team. Nade goes through to the other side, knows he needs to step out the way, but he's taking a hell of a lot of damage, but he can't afford to pop this first aid kit too early.
It's his last first aid. No more in the back pocket. Lonely now for the face, but steps out. Pump action to the gut. Sends him down to the depths, and it's Divergent to stand tall in Milta.
Okay, now, unfortunately, that was cool, but I have to talk about a critical mistake that's just occurred on the map, because KZE really quite annoying me, honestly. The fact they stayed on the northwest side for that long, though they know that military base is open, considering they start there, they don't rotate back down. Why do they stick in that location for so long? It makes no sense to me. Like, you can definitely try and hold out more teams, but why not just go for a central spot at this point in time that you know is not taken?
Maybe a little bit of a misstep there, and Devan now, the last player for KZE, I think, going to be taking a little bit of a backbeat rotate back towards that military base. But you're right, it's a little bit too late. However, you can hide pretty effectively.
The fact that he's sorted back in there lets me know they know it was free.
Well, you know what? I'm happy for the 721 aggressor, who have been able to get across the bridge in whatever form they were able to find. R8 still going, still trucking on. 2 players alive. Prestige and ID coming up against Buzz from Upgrade.
This is such weird hesitation from practically all of our teams playing on the outer edges. Dope, our North American squad, in a surprising turn of events, one of the first teams with more than 2 players to head central.
I think, yeah, there is currently only, yeah, it is only Dope. The other teams, they do have more than 3, more than 2, but they have knocked players on side. I'm talking about Black Esports, and that seems like it's not going well for them on the southeast side, although K21 as well in that scrap. That south coast starting to heat up here as teams who have made landfall there come into contact with one another. Black Esports currently seemingly worse for wear in the engagement. You can see Lord Cedric in the back lines facing off against Shroud, and Goran has the res available here. Regroup for K21.
Black Esports currently on the north side. 1 player alive here in Lord Cedric. Great nade though over the top, over towards Goran.
Ooh.
Now looks to confirm there are shots through the Shroud from Shroud. Nade goes through. Does he nade his teammate? Hopefully not.
Goes a little bit wide, thinks that he's still facing off against Shroud, and the smoke did see him. That nade connects a little bit though as well, and the bleed outs continue. Off in the distance, you still got Master for K21, but he's not really having an impact here. Shroud looks to break out wide, the footsteps heard, now he knows he's on the vehicle, looks for the spray, but it's Master finally stepping into the fight. A quick stutter step, and that's going to be all it takes to take down Black Esports.
Yeah, nice long range shot there. It seems like Dope has located KZE's Devon. Or maybe not. They are right on top of him.
Ooh.
First time in a while that we get to praise a not, well, unless they get soloed by Devon, which I really hope would not happen. It's not the case. 3 players still alive. We get to talk good about North American team. Amazing. Truly amazing. What a timeline we're living in. That is until Aki Cyber is currently like a tidal wave across military base approaching their location.
Trying to push on in. They have got this building on surround. Nobody really too close by either. Nepex on the north side, really isolated and alone on that north hill, and a lot of vision down towards that military base for it as well, Blank. Potential to third party this progression if they get a little bit closer. You've got the last player from R8 as well, trying to move on the west side, and K21, they are still alive.
K21 with those 2 players, Master and Shroud, to push on up. Nobody from Fenerbahce sticking to his guns over on that eastern side. I mean, to be honest with you, that is not a terrible position. It is out of the circle though, so he's going to have to move at some point. There is cover to head towards on that western side, which is outside of military base too, so it's nice. Aki Cyber though, look at these guys. They are stocked for days on utility, but now they've got to make it count in this fight up against Dope.
Checking his corners, nice and secure. I'm Ron. Being cautious, being calm and collected here.
And he's got 6
Exposed to the
nades.
high ground though. Look at the players pushing in from Nepex on that northern edge. Potential to get a bit dangerous. You see Mukesh there in potentially a position to play spoiler to Imran's position. He's being so cautious, and that may come back to bite him. Sure, it's great in this engagement with Dope, but will there be a third party to punish?
I mean, he's fine. He's smoked out. This is exactly what he needed to do there to prevent that sideline coming through from that north side so he can continue to harass. And this server room is honestly a little bit treacherous right now for Dope Esports, because getting a nade in here is sometimes kind of easy, to be honest. You just whack it around a corner. A lot of times you can go sit in the control room, but it is an awkward position to play for Dope right now. Aki Cyber happy to just leave them in here, wait for the circle to push them out on in. But yeah, weird game. Very, very weird game.
A lot of ragtag teams, nobody on 4 players alive. It is just Dope and Aki Cyber on 3 players, everybody at 2 or fewer left alive. Nepex making their move down towards C block. You could see Mukesh leading, Precious following up. They're on the west branch of C block, with Zvezda on that south side. We'll know about this, they'll be aware of this presence, and at this stage that's going to make going for that server room not really too profitable. Sure, maybe you get a point or 2, but what do you lose in the process? Maybe territory, maybe a player, which would be the worst case scenario.
Luckily for Aki Cyber, they do have Zvezda as point of contact on that north side, so they're thinking ahead right now. And I'm willing to pull back on my call that maybe they aren't the big dogs in lobby. Maybe they are, actually. Playing very well. I'm not too far points behind GOAT right now with 29 at the top of the lobby. And with a strong game here, potential to leap over the top of them. Very possible, in fact.
Looking pretty vast and cannid right now. for Akicyber. But they have still got 7 other teams to dispatch if they want to take those top spots back into contention for themselves. And it's great to see so many teams from this Uzbek qualifier getting into these top 7 right now. I think we've got 3 already up in these top 7 spots. You got Akicyber, you got 721
Nepex
Aggressors.
just get delivered the care package?
And DRG. Yeah, it seems like they just got 2, actually. 1 each.
That's incredible.
Well, they might be on the roof, though, which is a bit exposed.
Yeah, definitely. But possible to grab.
Definitely.
They provide cover at the end of the day.
And at the beginning of the day.
True. Just sit
Any time
them.
of day.
That's right. Very much so. Akicyber, still on that south side. Again, this is just cleanup right now. Dope is very unwilling to take any peeks at the moment. I think playing server room, if you can hold on to it, next circle ends up there. Why not? We're closing around 50 seconds now. 20 minutes into the game, and because we cut down so many players so early, it is not often you get 14 players remaining, 8 teams at stage 5.
Okay, so they are on the outside, these crates. 1 on the staircase, 1 further back. That further back one is actually pretty covered off by the north branch of C block. Precious can definitely branch out for that, but they're probably more worried about stopping Akicyber from getting any closer. Do you want to invest the time in order to get the resupply from that one? Sure, you get tier 3 armor and helmet, which could be pretty helpful actually, because I just saw Mukesh's gear there, level 1 vest, and a very damaged level 2 vest coming through from Precious as well, so it may be in fact worth that investment of time.
It depends kind of where this circle goes now, because it could center up over towards C block, which is what it does. And that does make Nepex's position even more profitable. And now this is where I'd imagine Akicyber wants to take this opportunity to get aggressive. Whilst other teams still out on the edge and not possible to get too much of a third party going on, they should roughly know that Dope is unwilling to leave this server room. This is prime time to try and clear out Nepex. I think for Nepex coming in this late into the game as well towards C block, they should have a general idea that this is a team with maybe less than 3 players.
On the east side, I mean, we haven't really talked about too much about these 2 teams, and they are just solos, but you've got GOAT Quality and Fenerbahce. Fenerbahce with 6 elims on the game, by the way. They have done pretty well for themselves on the east side scramble, as well as GOAT Quality, trying to defend their top spot here against Divergent, who still also have a representative. They are, however, far more central for Divergent. It's a game of snakes on this east side.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hell of a spot.
Yeah, nobody will know he's there.
It's true. He also has nowhere to go. It's a question of FES suspects this. And I can guarantee that if you played this game long enough, you know this spot exists. K21 start to move up. This is Master and Shroud. Cuke from Divergent Gaming on the north side. A little bit of a tickle over towards Akicyber. But that's a nice early warning system for them, knowing that teams are now in range. So limited time on going for those.
Oh.
Nobody will find FES. And that gives him time to move out past the silos.
That's a little opening for Divergent Gaming, actually, to push up to maybe get this top spot after this match as well, Blank, because GOAT Quality, only 2 elims, going down 7th place. There is a big chance here now to try and change those top of the tables. Fenerbahce as well, looking to push further and further. But I think, again, you're right, it is all on Akicyber, right? What can they achieve in this game? They've got 3 elims right now, and going down now would make what is a brilliant position seem a bit fruitless.
And the reason it's a brilliant position is because they're not likely to go down pretty soon.
That's true.
It would require a team to full push upon them. And you can see the outside the building here where Dope would probably have to regress. Very, very limited in terms of cover. They would have to have a full smoke train across. That's not to mention Nepex potentially pinching them as they move across. But it's just going to be a slow game because no one really wants to peek here.
Yeah, it's a game of belly button to concrete right now in the military base for a lot of these players. keep a lower profile as possible. And this is what happens when you have these scrappy mid games, right? When you have teams tearing into one another, taking one or two players down from them, you start to get quieter endgame circles. And this is what we're seeing, and that's exacerbated by the situation of being in and amongst the buildings as well. So you have got this quieter time that's going to sit probably with us until maybe even stage 8, but I imagine we're going to lose one or two teams before then.
I think if you Aki Cyber with 3 players, you can sort of afford to place a player on the rooftops at this point. I don't think it'd be unwise. The fact that Nepex has not shown their hand yet is now a strong indication that this is a weakened team. Right, very strong indication. I think just placing one player up top, not to take shots, but just purely to scout, right, with third party. Because Dope are starting to make their move with those smokes I mentioned earlier.
Getting across to the next stage is where they need to get to in order to find the next circle. Master in his little corner is going to be safe into this next circle. Blank, he still can maintain that position. Shroud will have to move, though. His teammate off in the distance, you can see him there, will have to shunt a little bit closer forwards, but I wonder where he's going to get to, because there's not much hard cover in terms of buildings that sit in front of them. However, for Dope, there's those containers they can move into, try and take a little bit more of a sneaky approach on that front.
Guliang moves up over towards that north side. First point of contact for the team. Tons of smokes laid down already. The circle does move a little bit further off towards that eastern side, giving Cuke from Divergent Gaming a little bit of a better chance at this match.
Much bigger building available for him. Aki Cyber may be thinking about going over there, or certainly planning an option should they need to. You can see their attention is certainly down to the southeast side as Shroud has to hit the deck once again. Behind the vehicle, gets suppressed, that line of fire, that open cannon from Aki Cyber still pointing his way.
It's one of those games where Aki Cyber can't really move. They got to wait out Nepex, they got to wait out Dope. I think you haven't really heard much action whatsoever other than solos over towards that eastern side. So you are fully aware of Dope's position and Nepex's position as the 2 most dangerous squads in your close vicinity. And you have the advantage over them because you've got the inside track here.
Shroud, there's no respite for you there, my friend. And there's a nade over the top. Actually, that's from Nobody to be able to get the knock there, but I think it was Dope who were able to pick up the flush point with the spray downs that they were getting. A nice nade from Nobody, sure, but he doesn't really get the dividends from that. No payout to be seen. They have 7 elims already, though, so not the end of the world.
So Dope now moving through the crates. Realistically, their only option, but the circle moves over towards that north side. Favoring Aki Cyber massively, because this pushes Mukesh out of position, right? Now he's got to move over towards the north, regroup with pressures, but that basically sits them in towards a single sight line, which is not ideal.
This has got to be worrying now for the teams in C block, because, I mean, there's only one player in Divergent in the building that sits as one of the most prevalent pieces of cover in this next circle, Blank, but that can really play spoiler to you. I mean, sure, Aki Cyber, they can hold fast for a while, but you know Dope is going to look for a little bit of a fight here. You know, Nepex has 2 players, 2 sightlines to go for it, so you can't actually contest that. I think nobody could potentially change things around and take down Divergent, but then it's the same situation all over again. It's just a solo in this building, but that is a lot of pressure that's being exerted just by the one player. Vastly increased aura in this spot.
Yeah, to be honest with you, if I was to call this game right now, I could probably call this game maybe 2 zones ago for Aki Cyber. They just have prime real estate here on the map. Like, this is still outside zone. For Dope, they are prolonging the inevitable as long as possible, and fair enough to them because they're trying to get placement points out of this game. But for Aki Cyber, they just have
nice try.
The best position on the map easily.
Mambe trying to get a little bit of healing done in the zone, but it takes hard and he takes him down. Guliang up to the wall, but straight out into the open. Yeah, there's nothing you can do. Admin able to close it down for Aki Cyber. And now it is a 3v2 v1v1 into the final zone. The center of it sits in no man's land though, Blank, so everybody's going to have to break out wide.
Yeah, again, I for Nepex, they're going to be the first ones to move. And all this game is just Aki Cyber with quick thinking, quick rotations, and assured scouting. Like, Nepex had no idea of where teams were. Dope really had no idea where teams were when they moved in. Aki Cyber was able to live through all of that, test the waters all around this circle, and they've gained dividends off the back of it. So very impressed by Aki Cyber this game, and they are slowly becoming my favorite team right now in the prelims so far.
I'm Ron actually able to move out towards the crate there in the middle of the courtyard, able to get a resupply. I think he got a P90 picked up there as well. I'm Ron launching the nades over towards Nepex, all the while Nobody being crunched up to the wall off in the off angle there, and Divergent still have a chance. Nobody trying to go for that challenge. I'm Ron around the wall against Precious in the close range fight. I'm Ron goes down, and Nepex trying to turn this one around. They've now got the center of this circle. In the meantime, Divergent win the fight off in the distance against Nobody, so Divergent could change this. It's a 2v1v1, but Precious goes down, and there's only one now left for Nepex.
Good molly, forces him into the corner. Might touch him as well, actually. Nate goes forward. It's not enough. Zvezda needs to get involved, but he's dealing with Cube right now.
Oh, Mukesh tries to make the break wide, but it is Admin now. 2v1. They have a hovercraft there available that he can hop in towards, but it's all up to Cube for Divergent. Can they find the chicken dinner here? They were denied it last time around in a catastrophe of events, but Zvezda now with a challenge. Doesn't connect. The pump action for Cube. Wants to try and cut through them, but through the smoke has to hop out wide. The challenge isn't good, and it is Aki Cyber pulled all the way from the back lines. Stage 5 under control, Stage 9 a similar story.
Admin in the server once again, bringing the heat, and I think overall Aki Cyber had that game in the bag, like I said, from Stage 5. It was fairly easy to call, and again, such an odd game overall, that match, because we had so many teams focusing far too hard on holding squads out around the map. At some point, you have to make that call and make that decision of, look, let's just retreat back towards center. For KZE, critical mistake early on. They should have had that game in the bag because they had center so early, they had it scouted. And the difference being between all these teams and Aki Cyber is, again, their ability to scout, their ability to test the waters. And honestly, it's attention management, and it's very well done in that aspect, because the fact that they completely isolate over towards Dope early on, because they know that Nepex is not challenging them, they have seen they've not gone to the roof, they know they're a weakened squad, so they fully put pressure over towards this team, which is going to be the first to peak. Then they immediately switch back over towards Nepex. They're a quick thinking squad, right? They're very quick on their feet, and you love to see it.
A 1-2 punch from the Uzbek teams at the top of the table in this match, Blank. Divergent coming off of a second place into another second place as well, getting value out of this game. This home ground, I'm telling you, man, there's something to it. And the Uzbek squads are really pulling up, making an impact here. A fantastic result for them. Admin at the top of the tables for Aki Cyber. He was able to spray down all those teams on the south side. Dope didn't stand a chance. Neither did anybody else in the lobby. A fantastic result for another Uzbek team, and I'm very happy to see that one go through. I think in just a moment we're going to be heading over to the analyst desk to break the game down, but Blank, do you have any final words?
Yeah, well, I mean, just Admin's just unreal, right, isn't he? He's actually unreal. Admin's such a good player on this team, and he's consistently stepping up time and time again. But that's not to say the rest of the squad is not pulling their weight at all, because they're such a disciplined team. A lot of times when Admin's getting this damage, it's already set up by the rest of the squad. It's not just a one-man show a lot of times. I'm happy to see it. Again, you can very much tell that they're all communicating with one another in an extremely good way. We're going to communicate over with the stage and send this one over to Barney for a quick interview.
I've got Domain here from Nepex Esports, a close finish, a slow match as well. Let's talk about the rotations that went down south, okay? When the circle pulled to military base, a lot of people were using boats, a lot of people were using bridges. You guys decided to swim. Was the decision behind that just to avoid the congestion on the bridges, or what was the decision? Translate, yeah, just translate.
जस्तै तिमीले चाहिँ के भन्नु दुईटा स्क्रिप्ट गर्यौ नि त पानीबाट पनि डिसिजन भयो नि त अहिले आएर चाहिँ त्यो डिसिजन किन रहेछ र के गर्दा ठिक हुँदो रहेछ थाहा भयो
हाम्रो ड्रप नजिकै छ नि त पारी जान सजिलो छ किनकि हामी अगाडि हुन्छ अब त्यो पछाडि आउने टिमलाई अब गेटकिप गरेर जाने सोच थियो अब म एक्लै गएर बसेँ नि त अगाडि अब त्यही हामी अगाडि भएपछि हामी अगाडि लिन सकिन्थ्यो त्यही भएर चाँडो लिएको
So the first thing was our drop is near to the ocean, and we could easily go outside of the zone or to the military base. So after that, what he did was he went alone there, checked if the drone is going there. He's just making sure. And after the drone went there, he called all the players over there.
Okay, gotcha. So you went and you checked out first, and then your team followed. Now, obviously, it was a slow finish because you were inside a lot of buildings. When it's a city finish, it tends to be slow. You were eventually forced out of your building. Talk to us about, that final fight. What was going through your minds? What were the communications like? And yeah, what happened?
जस्तै चाहिँ अब लास्ट फाइटमा चाहिँ तिमीलाई अब सर्कल जोन भएर के एन्ड सर्कल जोन भएर किन यसरी जाँदाखेरि तिम्रो डिसिजन चाहिँ कस्तो थियो अरे
अब हामी 2 म्यान थियो नि त लास्ट जोनमा 2 म्यान थियो अब राइट हान्नु पर्थ्यो तर लेफ्टमा स्मोक थियो अब 2 म्यान थियौँ अब लास्ट जोनै कुरेको अब लास्ट जोनमा चाहिँ अब क्लस्टरमा अब राइट पुस गर्दाखेरि अब त्यही नेडहरूले डिसिजन त्यही नै थियो हाम्रो हुन चाहिँ
So the first thing was, it was the last zone, and we knew that we have to go inside the circle. We tried to smoke. We didn't fight at first, but at last we knew we have to fight with them. So that was a decision, but we didn't go well as we expected.
It was a valiant effort, though. Domain and Anzix, thank you so much for joining me here on the main stage. You guys have done brilliantly so far, and we wish you the best of luck for the remainder of this event. And, of course, tomorrow as well. But for now, we're going to hand things over to the analysts to break things down further before our 4th match of the day.
Thank you, guys.
Nepex definitely performing well today. One team, we got to go back though. Cyber continuing the performance there from yesterday. And PMGO, especially this year, is about new players coming to the scene. And I got a feeling we're starting to see some, especially from Cyber.
I mean, admin. God damn, like this guy's been mentioned quite a bit during the casting, especially of these games. He's been standing out quite significantly. He reminds me of Groza, a little bit more team-oriented. He's playing around with his teammates, getting off angles that allows them to set up admin. And especially those grenades at the very end made just that last fight work in their favor to then wrap up the game, get the chicken dinner. But look at this, man. Admin looking so damn good throughout yesterday and now also today's 3 matches.
I mean, my goodness me. I just want to point out one thing here. He's got 6 elims. With 32 healing done. He's not taken
32 healing done.
He's not taken a single shot. Okay, 1 single shot is what he's taken this entire time. That is an insane stat.
He's the new protagonist of Invincible. That's going to be true. He really is just you cannot take this guy down, okay? He's too damn powerful. But yeah, he's been really accurate, and what I do like about him, he's not overly confident in how good his gunplay is. Like, he's like taking fights that make sense, and because of that, they end up being always in those late game scenarios.
And talking about players, top players here on your screen, I'm happy to see one player especially, and that's going to be Ida from RA, being able to put up those 4 eliminations.
Yeah, I mean, it is a really, really nice start to what we should have been seeing 2 matches ago. I'm sorry, please don't kill me for that. But, it is one of those things. It's the truth, right? I mean, I did make note that throughout these different matches, R8 have been trying different things. I mean, first they were trying to be just playing a normal game, super aggressive, doing their thing. Did not work. First Erangel, they come back and they go, actually, we want to make this way quieter. We're going to go way back, play it safe, everything. Did not work. Here again, we see a little bit different things. They tried that bridge hold at the start there in the zone against several teams. Did not work. So I'm kind of sensing that Stars is going to be doing a lot of VOD review this evening.
Yeah, and you know what? I want to be a little bit critical on that point because I fully agree with what you just brought up, Neptura, but I also want to say this is a team that we said is one of the most experienced teams in this lobby.
Yeah.
They played at some of the highest stages PUBG Mobile Esports has to offer. For me, we should not have the team trying to find their playstyle on the first day of these prelims, right? This is something that should have been sorted out even before the tournament started, even before the scrims, and during the scrims especially. They should have found their mojo, how they want to play the game, how they want to approach it. But I do also want to give them something in their favor, which is this lobby's a little bit unpredictable because, again, we've got some people, some players we've never seen at this stage. So, like, how is the lobby really going to work out in these matches? It does add a little bit of an X to the equation that's a little bit hard to solve.
Yeah, not only is this adding a random factor, is that these teams that are new are actually really good. Like, you're looking at Ake, right? they're doing a really good job. I mean, you got NepX as well, playing some really cool plays as well. So it's not only that it's just random, it's random and good, and that makes it very dangerous.
I'm not gonna lie, when NepX, with the gift that they got, those 2 crates at the end, I was like, okay, if they're able to collect those, even though it was a bit exposed, they're definitely gonna be able to win. Sadly, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
No double MG3.
I know.
That could have been an Akimbo MG3, but actually one of the weapons, I think it was a P90, right? Taken by Akicyber, which P90, if you've got all the ammo available, you haven't used any of that ammo, of course you cannot loot ammo around the map, you can only get the crate ammo to use the P90. It is just perfect for these kind of clutch late game scenarios to secure the win. So it was not only just a perfect crate in the right spot, it was also at the perfect time.
It does let you, it does tempt you perhaps a little bit to go a little bit too far and solo push.
Precious.
Yeah, he went for it. He sure did. But looking at the match rankings here, you've got actually a tie between DRG and Fenerbahce there. 11 points total. You are looking at something maybe stirring over in the leaderboards, right? There's a little bit of that thing coming in there. I believe they're fairly close together on that leaderboard, so that 11 points each is going to be interesting.
We see the importance, especially of solos in these kind of finishes, right? Fenerbahce were down to a single solo. There was nobody 77k. He was entering the eastern side, and he was like, I know I'm not going to get any extra eliminations this match. I'm just going to play full salvage mode until the very end. I'm going to survive, get placement points, which ended up allowing them to push up in a top 5 situation.
One thing that we saw there on the first page as well was, I mean, RA. It wasn't just Ida with the eliminations. We saw at least 1 placement point, some eliminations from the teammates as well. So we'll see if maybe they be a little bit more confident throughout these next matches. They don't doubt themselves. We'll see what's going to end up happening as we're going to be going over towards their overall. Oh, wow. That is super close. Akicyber with 33 points, DRG with 32 points, and guess what? The crowd is happy because Uzbekistan is currently leading, baby.
That is massive. The fact that Uzbekistan, again, these are the teams that maybe we didn't know much of coming into this tournament, and they are just completely eclipsing the lobby. Like, not only in just individual players, talked about Admin and Groze, especially in yesterday's matches, but the entirety of these teams are just getting completely eclipsed in the leaderboards. And we have some big teams where he talked about RA, talked about T2K, he talked about like saving from Fenerbahce. Like, so far, sure, like Fenerbahce are in a good position, but the fact that they are doing so well as a region is very, very impressive.
It is impressive. One thing that I want to see, though, I want to see GOAT again. I feel like GOAT is starting to let it slow down a little bit. We saw yesterday in the qualifiers, right, Neptira? Is it happening again?
I hope not. I really hope not, right? Because GOAT, I see it. I see the potential there. I see what they're trying to do. But if they lose that confidence, if those first 2-3 games haven't gone their way and they start backtracking, second-guessing, it's game over. They really need to bring it right back over and not worry about those games at all.
Yeah, actually, talking about GOAT, I do like I think it was our second angle, where we did have actually a very interesting play from them, where they had this massive spread on the southern side. And it was a good play. I don't think they were greedy whatsoever. It's just sometimes they fumble when it comes to like encountering teams, fighting squads. And that is sometimes a good setup that just fumbles because of those little micro issues that you encounter later on in the matches.
All right, Neptura, I want you to put your coach hat back on, because I'm looking at some of the teams here in the overall ranking, especially at ICERD. We saw this yesterday as well. Some teams being able to put up those eliminations, but not those placement points. At what point do you maybe start telling them, if you're the coach, try to focus a little bit longer towards the end of the match?
Now. Right about now. I feel like that is the perfect time. That coach better be right at that stand going, oi, if you don't start getting those placement points. I mean, 7 limbs is pretty good, but not over 3 matches. You've got to pick that up and back it up with those placement points 100%.
The coach is saying, oi, is he British?
Oi, oi, oi.
Look at the survival time. Actually pretty damn low for these two teams. 11 minutes, 46 seconds with 50 minutes and 46 seconds. That's just going to be today's stats only currently between these two squads we are comparing right now. But on the elimination front, they are showing up big time, you know, over the course of these matches only. 12 elims, 16 elims, that is a decent average to have for yourself, so keep it going, and top 7 is definitely in the cards.
They're staying true to their name there with those 16 eliminations with NepX. I feel like if this team, if Tura, possibly they're able to clutch it up a little bit more, they could have had a chicken dinner.
Yeah. I mean, let me get my sentence. We've seen this multiple times from them. The almost. They're a good team. They've been doing some good things, but they just aren't quite getting it. They're not quite getting where they need to be. It's almost there. And so hopefully the next 2 days, they are going to be able to get that extra little step up to where they're actually getting the results they want.
Yeah, hopefully going into tomorrow's matches, they can go back, and we talked about VOD review, how important it is, and like just some micro little issues. Of course, this circle, which adds a little bit of RNG to the mix, is just sometimes a little bit hard to deal with it, but salvage mode, we've seen a lot of people do it, and I think this lobby is very efficient at, we know we're not going to win this game, let's just frag out, or if you're a solo or duo, let's try and survive as much as possible, and that's how you're going to rack in consistent points, game in and game out.
Well, let's recap real quick with the schedule so far for today, because we are going to be heading into the final Erangel. And while we're looking at that schedule, I kind of want to, you know, let's have a little bit of fun here, because we did see something fun during that match, and it was none other than Black Esports with the glider rotation, which some people like, some people don't like. How do you feel about it, Neptura?
I liked it. I thought it was a heads-up play that is risky. I will give you that. It is risky.
You know I'm going to be against it.
I know. 50-50 split right down the middle here. No, I think that it was actually quite nice because it left those two to scout ahead. It's notoriously a very difficult circle, difficult rotation. So they needed that scout. If it all went horribly wrong, yes, they lose 2 players, but they don't lose the game. The other duo on the mainland can actually figure something else out.
Yeah, I think you can kind of compare it to what Nepex did this game, which is sending a player ahead of the river. That's Boys 3, we send the entire team, which that I do like. But here you're sending 2 players in a glider.
True.
And you're just leaving your team 500, 600, 700, 800 meters behind you. There's no kind of support. There's no way for you to regroup. If one of your duos get involved in a fight, that's half your team gone. Phase 1 or Phase 2, your odds of a chicken dinner way down. So it's a risky play, but they went for it. They did, unfortunately, not make it super far this game off the back of that.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Some people like it, some people hate them. But you know what I do like? I like you guys giving me some teams to focus. So, Max, I like you too, Max.
Thank you.
Yes. Going into the final Erangel, which teams are you going to be focusing on?
I want to see GOAT do well. Yes. I think they've showed potential macro-wise. Are we picking 3 teams each?
Yes.
Okay, so GOAT, I'm going to go Akacyber because I'm a very basic guy and I'm going to support the team at the top. And I also want to see R8 still do better. So R8, keep on being on my teams to watch.
Okay. R8, Nepex, and, oh god, I'm blanking now.
T2K?
All of a sudden. No. GOAT, that's the one. I remember the name. GOAT.
Okay, for me, it's going to be GOAT as well, because I want to see if they can finally bounce back from a bit of a slump that they're having there. Nepex, I'm continuing on that train, and I got to support NA. No, P-Sports. They were kind of playing it slow there towards the end. I want to see what's going to happen with this team. But those are the teams to watch. Any teams that you guys think might... We mentioned Ikert earlier, right?
Yes.
We mentioned how you had your coach hat on and you want them to start going for those placement points. Are we going to be seeing it here? I want you to predict it. I'm going to put you on the spot.
No.
No? Ooh.
No.
That's a great spot.
It's going to take a couple games to really get that mojo back. So not this game. Maybe next game, but not this game.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Something that I do want to do, Barth, if you're listening to me, is I want to include the casters as well. I want to talk to John, Allen, and Blank, because to be fair, we've been agreeing with a lot with the mustache man. Not me. This man right here. Blank. He's been doing great analysis during the game, and John has been doing great casting as well. Now, do you guys have any teams to focus in this one? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Probably Akacyber, definitely, I mean, for obvious reasons. KZE, annoyingly KZE. I think that they have some decent rotates, and the game plan is there. I think they get lost in the sauce sometimes.
Yep.
It's a real big problem. So I still want to back them. And let's say...
We have to choose 3 each?
Yep. T2K. Let's say T2K.
That's fair.
Because what's going on with this team? We got to watch them very, very intently this match.
That's true. How about you, John? Sorry, I'm going to cut you off. I want to hear John's, because I know you can go for this.
Yeah, that's true. And we'll have plenty of time to dive into it in the early game. I think Divergent, I'm interested in seeing if they can keep things going. They've had 2 second places so far. Is that, you know, by virtue, what's that by virtue of? Is it luck? Is it skill? I'm leaning towards skill. I think that they've had some really solid players yesterday and in towards today as well. They seem to have been able to keep up that competition. And I think I would probably agree with T2K,
going,
time to kill as well. I think that it's they've got world-class players on that roster, and we haven't quite seen that so far. I'm also I had someone else lined up, and I've completely blanked on which team.
You can think about it. You know what? Something that Max and I didn't agree with throughout that match, especially in the tour as well, was KCE with what they were able to do there at the beginning. And you know what? As we're going to be going into the game, I want to remind you as well, because I know you felt a certain way about it, Blank.
I did feel a very certain way. I hated it. I'll put it that way. I hated it. Again, they had such a strong start to that game, and they had
it was trash.
Very very simple callback towards Sosnovka military base. And that should have been the place they went, because that was their playing ground. And they had it from the beginning. On the other hand, on your own kind of playing ground, you can make one yourself. Custom fun, as always, in World of Wonder. You can also visit the PMGO venue with World of Wonder 2. So exciting stuff. I'm sure it's going to pop up here at some point. There it is.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. Got the map code as well. I'll say it one more time.
Go on then.
For you folks at home.
Lovely.
It's 12123503. One more time. 12123503.
Type that one in and you can visit the PMGO venue, a recreation of what we have here in Tashkent in Uzbekistan, where we are holding the 2025 PMGO. It has been fantastic being here. We've absolutely loved it so far, and I'm sure we will continue to do so, as have the home ground teams. Currently, first and second place in the tables, right? It's been a great result so far for them. Let's see if they can keep things going as we enter our final Erangel of the day.
Yeah, again, it is pretty impressive the Uzbekistan teams have done this well so far. And it is nice to see. You can definitely tell that there is home ground advantage here in esports, where if you have the crowd backing you, if it is your country as well, like, it really does add that extra up to you. And I think it's given the confidence for Aki Cyber to make some of these plays. But again, I think beforehand, my critical analysis of them was that they were maybe a little bit too aggressive. It's not the case. It really felt like that there was some definite discipline towards the end of those games that we'd not seen from them before. But that is a nice alteration to see from Aki Cyber.
Heading into this game fairly soon. All of the teams seem to be locked and loaded into the lobby. Playing path soon to be ready for us. You can see there. I believe that's Train to Kill, looking to try and pick up the pieces of their prior games, yet to really have the impact that we want from them. We have seen them make some solid choices, but so far has not converted just yet. GOAT quality that, of course, Natura's looking at over the course of this game. She said she wanted to see if they can... Oh, it was Natura, right? Said he wanted to see the recovery, see if they can get out of that sort of dip that they seem to have been having over the last few games. Seven also said he wanted to see that recovery coming on through, and we'll be heading in fairly shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be heading into the game pretty quickly. Sorry for the delay, guys. We do, in fact, though, have an interview coming up in just a couple of moments. In fact, I'm pretty sure quite short moments. But it will be with Fenerbahce. I'm going to see how they're faring currently in the PMGO Prelims.
Fenerbahçe olarak 2021'de bir başarı sağlanmıştı ama o kadro farklıydı tabii ki de. Biz buraya yani PMSA'dan farklı bir ekip olarak çıktık. Yani hedefimiz final oynayıp finalde ilk 5'e girmek. Bu şekilde devam edeceğiz. Herkese merhaba, ben Sevyen. Fenerbahçe Esports takımında Fragger olarak oynuyorum.
What does it mean for the team to reach the main event stage and perform against the best of the best around the world?
Yani gerçekten dünyanın en iyilerine karşı oynamak çok iyi hissettirecek. Onlardan aşağı kalır bir yanımız olduğunu düşünmüyorum. Onlara karşı yani fightlarda zorlanmayız ama yer alma konusunda biraz zorlanacağımızı düşünüyorum. Onun dışında bir sorun yok.
Who is the X factor for your team whose performance you are dependent on?
Bu soruya kendim demek istiyorum. Çünkü hem koaycellik yapacağım bu turnuvada hem de yani yaptığım ekstralarla iyi işler başardığımı düşünüyorum. Yani takımı ipten alabiliyorum, fazla adam vurabiliyorum, yer aldırabiliyorum. Bu yüzden bu soruya kendim diyeceğim.
Which team do you think is your biggest threat in the prelims?
Bu soruya Black demek istiyorum çünkü yani bizimle birlikte geldiler ve diğer takımlara göre daha fazla turnuva tecrübeleri var. O yüzden Black.
Which main event team do you admire the most?
DK mi desem, Regnum Karya mı desem düşünüyorum şu an yani. Biri birinci oldu, biri ikinci oldu. Bence Regnum Karya çünkü yani PUBGMOBILE Global Championship'te ikinci oldu. Yani bu gayet büyük bir başarı. Silas'ın daha önceden dünya şampiyonluğu da var. Kadro olarak da çok süredir birlikte. Bu yüzden Regnum Karya. İzlediğiniz için teşekkür ederim. Bizi desteklemeye devam edin. Teşekkürler.
البطولة بشكل عام فيها تيمات جدا جدا كويس وتيمات خبرات بشكل عام بس مثل الخوف احنا ما نخاف من اي تيم وبنلعب لعبنا. السلام عليكم جماعة، اسمي علي، أنا من العراق، جاي بلعب PMGO هنا ورولي داخل اللعبة فراجر.
Which player do you think will have to perform the most if you guys are to lift the trophy?
هذا الصراحة أصعب سؤال اللي أسمعها. يعني من تيم أنت تختار من 3 لاعبين كويس تختار لاعب واحد، هذا شيء مستحيل يعني. بس أنا أروح للهيوا كالير عشان هو ما شاء الله لاعب مرة كويس، وأشوفه بأداء حلو، وإن شاء الله أشوفها من أفضل 3 لاعبين من البطولة وأثق فيها.
Talk about your recent roster additions and how they have molded into the team.
التغيير الوحيد اللي صار بالفريق غيرنا IGL بشكل عام، يعني نص الفريق IGL يقدر يغير لعبك فريق، فجبنا IGL جديد وصار أداءنا مرة حلو. إن شاء الله نسوي شيء أكثر من اللي سويناه.
Who are your top 3 teams for 2025 PMGO main event and why?
أول فريق أروح للميجما جالاكسي عشان كلنا نشوف أداء الرؤوف بالPMGO وبالPMGC اللي السنة اللي فات، وأتوقع لهم يأخذون من توب 3. أول توب يختار لهم توب أول. التيم الثاني يروح لهم 4MV، هم التيم ما شاء الله على أدائهم أفضل تيم في CS حالياً، ويقدر يتنافسون على فريقات العالم. الثالث فريق أروح للريجيكت، هم أبطال السنة اللي فاتت PMGO، وأتوقع لهم أداء مرة كويس للسنة هذه بعد.
Which main event team do you admire the most?
الفريق اللي أفضل أنا أتابعها وأحاول أتعلم منهم هو فريق 4MV بخصوص دوب، صراحة أتابعهم كثير عشان أتعلم منهم. شكرا يا جماعة للمتابعة وللدعم، تحيات لكم، ولا تنسوا تتابعونا وأعطونا لايك.
Well, there you go. A lot of lovely information from what our players are thinking about, what's going through their heads. A little expose there with iCurd, able to dish out all that juicy information. Lovely stuff.
It's what you want to see. I mean, to be fair, what's really nice from watching these team interviews is that there's some real admiration for some of the greats in PUBG Mobile, which is cool to see, and supportive of their own regions as well. So you know that these guys are very much invested within the scene too. But we won't be heading into the match shortly. Slight technical delays happening at the moment, but we're going to try and get in as soon as possible.
Well, like this. I haven't really paid too much attention to it, but you can see on the stage the total points next to each of the teams, as you can see where they're standing, making sure that everybody in the audience is up to date with where their favorite team is currently faring on the overalls. It's nice to see. I'm loving the utilization of the arena that we've been having so far. We've got these side screens. You guys can't really see that too well at home. We've got some excellent screens along the side of everything going on. It has been done up to the nines, as they say, Blank. It's been great to be here so far. We're loving it. We're loving it, and we will continue to do so as we go into the next game. But we have to go to a short break to make sure that everybody is loaded in, ready to go. We'll see you guys in a few seconds.
With PUBG Mobile, there's a big impact on my life because I have a very busy work life and life outside of PUBG Mobile. I work as a police officer, so a lot of my days I'm not able to attend and play the games, but I still have a love and passion for the game. So I sacrifice a lot of time outside just to make it work, and every time I play, I just give it 100%. Hello, my name is Baby Tang. I play for Dope Esports. I'm the in-game leader, and I represent the North American region.
What was the feeling in the team once you guys realized that your team has qualified for the prelims?
So I think the feeling was kind of unreal for the team. There's definitely a lot of excitement, not just to play our first global LAN event, but also to meet everyone in person. Obviously, we haven't met each other before, so I guess that was the biggest excitement for the team.
Every region comes with a different playstyle. How are you going to tackle that?
I think the best way for us to deal with the other region's playstyle is actually just focus on what we're best at. Not worry too much about what teams are doing and how teams play, but focus on how we play the best and use that to our advantage.
What would it mean for the team to lift the PMGO trophy?
I think, again, the feeling's gonna be unreal if we do lift that trophy. For all of us, it's probably just gonna be a dream come true, right? All the hard work, all those hours played, all put together for that result.
Which main event team do you admire the most?
I think I have two main event teams that are really good. Firstly is 4MV, 4 Miracle Vibes. I think they're a great team, and with their new roster with like 2-3 PMGC MVPs, I think they're just a team to admire, and they have a lot of players that I think everyone looks up to. And number 2 would be NGX, Enigma Galaxy. They were a newer team last year, and they performed very well at the global stage in such a short amount of time of being a team. So I think it was very inspiring for new teams and up-and-coming teams that are trying to make it in the global stage as well. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and thank you for supporting, and we'll see you in the next one.
Actually, being humble, we weren't the regional champions. We came runner-up. Our champion was ATR, but due to some issues, we were regional champion and we came here. It's an honor to represent my country, Nepal, in this global stage. Like, it's every player's dream to represent their country. Hey guys, this is Mukesh from NEPEX Esports Nepal. I play support in my team.
Do you think NEPX has what it takes to gain the fan base that has already been behind the other popular teams from Nepal?
Definitely, every team got every chances to achieve more fan base, but it all takes is their gameplay. So I believe in my team, and we got gameplay to achieve more fan base and support. Every team plays to be champion at every tournament or every global stage. So it's an honor because Nepal never got #1 in global stage, but DRS Gaming came close with being runner-up. So being humble, I would definitely try to achieve #1, but I don't want to talk about this anymore because mouth shut, but gameplay on.
One team that NEPX considers as the most formidable threat in the 2025 PMGO Prelims, and why?
The team which we fears the most is the one we look in the mirror. But with respect, I want to say my TTK boys, our friends from Nepal, they've been a good team and wish to compete them in prelims.
Which invited team are you most excited to play against in the main event of 2025 PMGO, and why?
I'm excited to play with every invited teams in the final, but with respect, I want to say is for MV because they got 2 PMGC finals MVP, Joel and Top, so they are actually all-star team. So it will be cherry on top if we defeat 4MB and take the trophy home. Nepali supporters र audienceहरुलाई एकदमै थ्याङ्कफुल भन्न चाहन्छु हजुरहरुको माया साथ सपोर्ट यिनै एकदमै मोटिभेट गरेर हामी ग्लोबल स्टेज खेल्दै छौं। गेमको बारेमा म केही धेरै अहिले त्यस्तो केही भन्दिन, तर जे देख्छ हजुरहरुले गेममै देख्नुहुन्छ। थ्याङ्क यू फर सपोर्टिङ अस, जय नेपाल।
And hopefully we are ready to get into our third and final Erangel of the day here at the PUBG Mobile Global Open Prelims, where we've had a day of action prior to this for the Uzbek finals, and it seems like they're carrying that power over into today. Top two on the tables, both with the home ground advantage.
Yeah, admin's crashed the server.
That's true.
That's what he's done.
Ah, there must be.
That's the only explanation I can come up with. But yeah, we're waiting to get into our fourth and final Erangel match.
Fourth match,
fourth match, last Erangel of the day. Said that with such conviction as well, I almost believe myself.
I love it. I'm ready. I'll believe you if you say things like that.
I know you will. I had to pause and stop. It was essential.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be heading back into game.
He's got so much water. Look at him. Oh no, we got a bottle down. I blame that on the passer.
Bottle down?
A bottle down. Yeah, I was talking about what was on the cameras.
Damn, bottle down. That's not good. No one wants that.
Hey, we've got to make sure all the players are staying hydrated out here.
Get a savior mission on for that water bottle.
It's all right, he picked it up.
Yeah, good. But we're waiting to get into the match at the moment. We've got all of our lovely teams on screen for you right now, who are all similarly waiting to jump in to their last Erangel of the day. Overall, it's been an interesting day, and I think a day with far more mistakes in it than the qualifiers. And I think that's because everyone's trying to make the right play of what is categorically the right play in their minds, because that last game, it was all about we need to hold people out on the edge. But that's the only thing that people got into their heads there. And again, I think that when you look at global tournaments, you have this case of you'll have teams that play more edge style, then you have teams that want to go towards the center. Everyone here is looking to just play edge a lot of times, which caused this mass migration where one team will go center because like, well, no one's playing there.
Yeah.
In this case, Aki Cyber and Dope. And everyone has to follow suit. But by that point, you've been decimated out on the sidelines because it gets real chock-a-block out there.
Certainly does, and it is pretty tricky to be able to pick up those points when you need them. And some of the best teams in the world, the main quality that they display is flexibility, right? That ability to change what they're doing on a dime, for everybody to do that cohesively on the roster and to be able to execute that strategy well. It is a real tall order. It sounds easy, but doing it in this sort of a situation is nigh on impossible, and that is how champions are made. So we'll see if anyone's able to progress to that point. Playing path heavily on the south side again, Blank.
Yeah, this is far, far down. And again, last game, that didn't really matter all that much considering our circle that came through, which was benefiting so many of those teams because it was towards Sosnovka. And it was a pretty confident Sosnovka circle as well. I think most teams realized that early enough, though I did expect more teams to be just rotating fast through onto Sosnovka. And I think it was that early game hesitation that led to a lot of those outside approaches where everyone was stuck on the edge. This time around, though, we'll wait for the circle, we'll see where it pops, and we'll go from there.
KZ alone and isolated. We're on board with Aki Cyber on the POV. Southwest side, R8 pretty close by, but it looks like they go for a longer drop up the west coast as the plane finishes its progress over the islands. And we are going northwest, so no military circle this time around. Now, this is where that south cramped up situation does start to get a little bit more tense. You are going to be fighting over vehicles in various different locations. You know that there's going to be a little bit more conflict, so we'll see how teams handle that.
Yeah, all the way towards that northwest side is difficult for a lot of squads because you're going to have to get rotations on early. Go one of the first ones to start making that rotate as well. It's a question of whether you want to head over towards the north side of the map too, because this is really undetermined, to be honest, where it's going to end up, either on the south side of the river or on the north. But most teams should know that, you know, for instance, North George probably open, shooting range, Severny, northeast side of Kameshki, if you want to make a wrap over towards that north side, come back in through Yasnaya. It is pretty much just a smash grab situation of whatever kind of compounds you can get your hands on at this point.
There's a team that we haven't really talked a little bit about so far from the start of this game that has maybe this game to prove themselves moving forwards. That is R8. They have had the inside track up to the west coast side here with this circle. They can lay claim to Georgia Pole in a way that other teams couldn't really. They were fast up on the west coast, and the circle has gifted them the opportunity to have a good shot into this one. Now, they are towards the bottom of the table. It's not what we expected coming into this tournament, but now they have the opportunity to put up a little bit of a scoreline, and they need to start doing that now because time is running out.
Yeah, buffers are being set, realistically, at this point in time. The teams are looking to hold on to those strong positions. I thought that was a bounce back, but it was not. It's a great initial start there over towards Nepex from the 1721 aggressors. Mukesh up on the top side, the rest of Nepex immediately coming in for assistance, but probably too little too late here.
They have got the weaponry to be able to hold it out. Mukesh does have a cannon or two at his disposal, but the ammo is low, and unfortunately the pump action is strong from the Butcher. Cleaves in. Nion in twain, and now Nepex have two players on the outside. They've committed to this fight.
Yeah, that was a seriously good shot coming through from Butcher. I mean, necessary in that short moment. So low HP, had to be a direct registration on the chest too. Get the one pop through. Nepex, two players, Domain and Precious. For Nepex, it hasn't been going all that hot here at the start of the game. And after getting quite far into that last one, 17 points, this is where they could have potentially, got a nice consistent match and gone from there.
Oh, a little hop out from the window. Domain goes down, goes low. And now it's just Precious for Nepex. The 721 aggressors convincingly handling that fight, and Nepex tumble.
Great news for the 721 aggressors. Again, that is currently, we're looking at, what is that? 3 Uzbekistan teams technically qualify through if we ended things right now.
That's true. Only Upgrade bringing up the rear.
Yeah, literally. 3 out of the 4. Fantastic stuff. Incredible stuff, in fact. So I think for Uzbekistan, they should be very proud of their players and their teams. Go on the rotate, they head over towards box compound. Not a bad stopping place in my opinion.
Rotate.
It is a go-tate right there. And I think that for a lot of the squads around that area looking out towards them, it's a perfect opportunity to get some good scouting done early because a lot of people aren't situated just yet. They are not in position. So Go has definitely the lay of the land.
I would agree. They have managed to get into a decent spot now, and there is still some aggravation over towards the ruins left in their wake. And Exotics battling back and forth with action. Nobody. The second nobody in this lobby, rather confusingly.
Yeah, there's a nobody on Fenerbahce as well, who is nobody X77K. That's the delineator.
Yeah, that is how you tell them apart. They're on different teams. Generally. Either way, the same name. It's confusing. Did nobody talk about it?
I don't think anybody did.
That's right. Anyway, back into this one. Action have laid claim to the top of the hill here over ruins. They're going to be controlling those crossings. But it looks like a lot of teams have actually already gone north of them or have access to different rotational paths. So I don't know what sort of value Action are actually going to get out of this location.
Yeah, Action definitely going to struggle, I would say. Ikert similarly on a late rotate, as are KZE, but we're taking anything from that last game is that they are pretty hesitant to make too many moves. It's very, very stuck in place gameplay at the moment. Exotics losing Daniel. Getting flashbacks to Sandhawk here.
Exotics taking a lot of damage onto Roy, but able to keep them up. Dope on the full surround here outside of the Sunken City. Baby Tank doesn't want to surround anymore. He wants to go straight on in. An interface against nobody with a nade in hand. You've got Pretam moving up to the high ground to try and curtail this aggression. And an off angle spotted by nobody. Launches the nade and Baby Tank goes down. Roy with the spray down towards Payne gets that flush almost immediately. And another pickup from Pretam. This is a brilliant hold coming through from Exotics. We thought it may be going pear-shaped for them when they lost Daniel, but gets all the sweeter for them when they find that victory on the fight. They turn Mambay around, but is he going to be able to get away just about behind the headland?
Yeah, I think that realistically, when you're looking at this fight, not sure exactly why Dope went for this one in the first place. Right, it's very early into the match. I don't think you possibly have to go for this engagement versus Exotics. And Dope just pushes their luck a little bit too much and are forced to turn tail here. Heading over towards that eastern side, towards Divergent on the western side of Yes9.
iCurd involved now with the 721 aggressor, and Jonik, yeah, there's not really anything you can do there. 3 angles that you have to face off against. Wasn't able to isolate a fight, unfortunately, and that is very likely to be a flush. However, iCurd have got aggressor bearing down upon them. A nice Molotov over the top could catch 1 or 2 of them slipping, and will in fact find the flush. Looking for Butcher as well on the off angle. The blue zone won't take him down. It's only stage 1, and look at this pressure that they've been able to rally around their down player. A brilliant result. Ali falls next. Aggressor rolls around to the top of the mound and gets the work done, but it's still 1 player left to go. And he will find the knock, almost looking for the flush too. 1 versus 2 now for iCurd.
A great shot there from AZ, but it's all come crumbling down around them. 721 aggressors definitely getting aggressive here. Nate goes up, and AZ's forced into an awkward scenario. Very good distraction. The bait and switch comes through. And 721 aggressors up to 8 eliminations in the first 9 minutes.
Let's talk about the circle now, Blank. It has popped and it's going to go over towards Pachinki, which means the action's presence on the overlook towards those ruins is going to be a little bit stronger. Those teams that committed up towards the north now going to have to go back down south. They're going to have to go past that, but it looks like Action are going to try and get ahead of the game. They're not going to make the same mistake that KZE made in the last match and try and stay on this edge guard for too long.
It's necessary, very necessary. Again, around Pachinki here, a lot of teams passed by this location, get around it. There's Roy, some good shots. Well, it's Ali. Really good player is Ali, actually. Very impressive. K21 moving in from that northeast side now, from Yasnaya. Inside the blue at the moment. This is where I want to see Fenerbahce succeed. Right, from inside Pachinki. And some good rotates in the past, it's just always fallen fairly short.
Exotics with Black Esports close by. You can see Fenerbahce off in the distance as well, further out and away. Taking a look at this fight, getting their noses involved and merciless. You can see shots actually ringing out across the map towards them, and from Savin in the back lines. This is going to slow the approach from Exotics, allow the res actually to come through. But this nade from Roy might be good. Doesn't quite connect. Not just yet. Another nade into the top floor there. And all the while, the rest of these teams are moving in past them. This is a very central area, Blank. It would be great to find an opening and a trade 1-for-1 on these knocks. These nades finally connecting. Symphony very, very low. Roy pushes up to look for the res on the pre-town. Nobody wants to play on the high ground on the rock behind and looks for spray. It looks good over towards Symphony. A lot of damage done. Oh dear! He's taken himself out there. The nade dropped at his feet, and that's a team wipe from himself. Ozzy with a massive misplay.